Good evening, everyone. You are in the spotlight with me, Brian Gardner, for this Tuesday, November 3rd, 2015, in the Spotlight 411 show here. First of 3 shows this week. Election night here, so happy election day, election night now. And here we are for, again, our first of 3 shows this week here on In the Spotlight 411. We have a fairly good variety of content here tonight. We have some wrestling, we have some sports, which is our typical Tuesday kind of show. For those of you that, again, are still kind of new to the show, if you're looking for us to talk about anything football related, particularly since the college football playoff rankings came out, that will not be tonight. That is for our In the Spotlight Football Blitz show, which will be coming up later in the week. So stay tuned for that. That, of course, will be it's a daytime show. So for those that do not know, stay tuned for more information on that. Tonight, of course, we cover all other sports outside of football, and we cover wrestling. So tonight we will talk about the latest from WWE, and that's our wrestling content. And then on the sports side of things, the week is over, so we're going to wrap up our discussion of that. We felt like we barely talked about it, but that's just, hey, it's a quick series. And we'll wrap up our MLB season discussion, as we always do at the end of a pro sports season, or any sports season for that matter. And then look ahead, of course, to the offseason and next season. And also, we'll briefly discuss the first week of the NBA season, which of course, the NBA got underway last week, the first week now in the books, and we'll get into some of the early season storylines that have developed over the last week tonight as well. That is tonight's show. So, as always, I want to start off the show by letting you know the ways which you can have your voice heard and interact and contribute with us during our show. You can do so by emailing us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. And please remember to use the hashtags, hashtag itspotlight411 or hashtag ITS5. ITS5, of course, represent our 5th anniversary on the air as a podcast. You can also find us on Facebook. In the Spotlight 411 is what you want to search for on Facebook. Once you find our fan page, like it, and then go ahead and post whatever it is you like to post. And as I always ask, you email us or Facebook us or tweet us if we choose to read something that you posted or sent. Please do let me know if that's okay for us to do, and if you'd like your name and where you're from, and if you choose to use that in that post or what you're saying mentioned on the air. I don't like to mention people's names or where they're from unless people tell me otherwise. So please keep all that in mind. My co-host is already on. I don't know what in the world he is wearing. Mike, you're in the spotlight.
Yeah, I guess I am.
And very depressed, are you?
I must be mad as a hatter to be on here tonight.
Yeah.
Mad as a hatter. Very unbirthday like thing. You'd say I'm looking through the looking glass.
You are.
Yeah.
Looking glass. Okay.
Like a giant wonderland.
Okay. So, a little bit of information real quick about this while I'm looking through the looking glass. Good plug. A little bit of information about this week. Again, 3 shows again this week. Thursday, of course, will be an entertainment show, box office preview. Of course, this is a big week at the box. We're now in November now, so things are going to start to improve, thankfully. With 2 big movies this week, so we'll preview that. We'll also get into a little bit we'll kind of give everybody a general preview of what the holiday movie season has in store, because for those of you that are not aware, the holiday movie season now starts right after Halloween. It doesn't, way back when it used to be Thanksgiving through Christmas. Now it starts like November 1st. It's when it starts. So we'll kind of give you a general preview, if you will, of the season, of the holiday movie season, and then we'll do a little bit of TV discussion, have a little bit of fun with that. And then, of course, also, now that's Thursday. Of course, also, we will have our 3rd show of the week in Spotlight Football Blitz. Now, my belief My belief is that show will be hosted on Friday, just like last week. And I'm imagining it'll be at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, just like last week. It will not be tomorrow. I don't think it'll be Thursday. But stay tuned to our Facebook and Twitter pages because that could change. It depends on how things unfold throughout the week. But right now, I would say 90% for sure the In the Spotlight Football Blitz will be coming at you this Friday at 2 o'clock Eastern time here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. So please do keep that in mind. Of course, that Football Blitz show is our NFL college football discussion show. Obviously, we look back at this past weekend, the NFL, which had a lot of big things happen. Some off-the-field stuff that we'll get into. Look ahead to this week's NFL games. And, of course, now with the college football playoff rankings out, we can discuss those and also look ahead to what's going to be happening in college football this weekend on the field. So that's what will be coming up on that show. So that's our week right now, okay? A lot of people have been asking what's going to happen beyond this week. It's November. It's sweeps. You know, that means you pull out big things. We do have some things coming up. I don't want to talk about them tonight. We're going to save those for Thursday because we're on the air rather late tonight. I couldn't get this thing started for some reason tonight. But we'll talk more about what's to come on Thursday's show. This week's going to be a pretty straightforward week. But after this week, it's going to be – we got a couple of different things we're going to be doing this month that should be interesting. So I'm going to try some things out and have some fun. So we'll get into more of that on Thursday and let you know, kind of all know what's the lay of the land here for this entire month. So, all right. So all that being said, let's get right down to it. Now, my co-host, who doesn't make many requests other than wanting us off the air by 10, which is a regular request, has asked me if we can start with WWE tonight. And I am going to oblige because I think that's okay. I think we have a reason to do that, and we are going to do that here tonight. So let's do that. Let's start with WWE because, you know, our wrestling fans always have to wait to the end of the show. Why not flip the script and give them something right out of the gate? So we're going to do that here tonight. And we're going to start, of course, with obviously whenever we sit down and talk about wrestling on a Tuesday, a lot of times we look at Monday Night Raw and see what developed on Raw last night. And, well, it was a rather interesting kind of night. You got further progression on the Reigns Rollins thing, okay? And Ambrose, of course, still tightly involved there, still making people think that there might be a development there at Survivor Series as in a heel turn. Then you had, of course, the biggest development was probably in the Divas division with the Fatal 4-Way match, which had Paige win to face Charlotte at Survivor Series. And then, of course, further progress with the Wyatt Brothers of Destruction angle. Outside of that, though, and maybe, okay, the return of the Usos, which immediately gives you who the number one contenders are going to be for the tag team titles, because we all know with the Usos back that they're going to be going after the New Day. That was pretty much spelled out last night. So other than that, you really didn't get any other developments. You know, they had a 5-on-5 Survivor Series match with the Rollins-Reigns thing, but nothing else, you know, as far as, you know, is there going to be another Intercontinental title feud for Kevin Owens, or is it going to be Ryback again? Is it who Alberto Del Rio is going to face for the U.S. title? The Lucha Dragons had a good night, which is nice. That felt like kind of a dig at the dirt sheets all week, saying that Kalisto is a failure. And then, of course, you know, if there's going to be a 5-on-5 Survivor Series match, which a lot of people thought was going to be in the Wyatt Brothers of Destruction angle, we certainly don't know about it yet. We're no closer to knowing about it yet. So there's still a lot we don't know, and there's all this talk that the next few weeks are going to be very rough TV viewing, that this Survivor Series is not going to be very, you know, it's pretty much, it looks like it's going to be the whole 2-match show kind of thing with the Wyatt Undertaker angle and, of course, the Rollins Reigns angle. But a lot of things still up in the air as to the card. A lot of things still up in the air as to will there be a Survivor Series match, traditional Survivor Series match. Who will be in it? What will be the main storyline crux for it after last year's big Survivor Series main event with, the Authorities' careers on the line, which ended up getting changed anyway. A lot of uncertainty here, which has a lot of people frustrated. Last week was a very, very good Raw, which was highlighted by the Fatal 4-Way match at the end of the night, which Reigns won. This week, some things were good, some things were bad. It felt like a mixed bag. But the general sense of people like the fact that there seems like a direction, at least at this point. Mike, what were your thoughts on last night and where things seem to be going for Survivor Series?
There's no direction for Survivor Series right now. Two-match show. You said it yourself, it's two-match show right now. And it's unfortunate because they have another 2 weeks to build up a decent card, and you've only built up 2 matches. We're going to have the Usos versus the New Day at Summer Guard. I think last night, they might take steps to do Dean Ambrose versus Kevin Owens. Because Ambrose is the one who pinned Owens after Seth Rollins made that thing. And they had some really nice continuity there, too. Owens was very genre savvy there. Seth Rollins is talking crap. And Owens just saying there, what are you doing? What are you doing? You just hit him. So I kind of love that continuity. It's kind of like Owens is being positioned as a challenger to Rollins for his stupidity. Now that Rollins owes him one, I think that was really good. Raw was fine last night. It wasn't great. It wasn't outstanding. But it was all right. The problem is you're not building up other matches to the show, and that's not good. It's not good at all. You didn't even hint at a traditional Survivor Series match. Now you've been hinting at even a 4-on-4 Survivor Series match, which is an even more traditional kind of match. The early Survivor Series matches were like 4-on-4. For a very long time, it was 4-on-4. It's going to be the Wyatts, and it's going to be Taker and Kane. A lot of people think the other 2 guys could be like Finn Balor and, well, it's not going to be Sting, but Sting was referenced. But Finn Balor is a name that keeps coming up. And if you're going to do it, you better do it soon. Well, you don't have to do it soon, but you can at least kind of hang around.
Right.
But you got Bray Wyatt talking all this smack. Undertaker's got to make some sort of challenge soon. Undertaker and Kane. But you've done nothing. Essentially, you've only built up one match. One. So while last night's Raw was good, the 5-on-5 was good, everybody was generally protected except for Xavier Woods. It's just, I get the sense like we're going nowhere where we should be going somewhere. The only thing that they kind of hinted at is that we're getting the Usos. What happened to the Dudleys? That's a big question, because the Dudleys kind of had an argument for having another title match. I guess that's just been thrown to the wayside, which I think that means the Dudleys are going to be in that Taker and Kane match, I bet. Just have a feeling. But I don't know.
Now, maybe perhaps some of one of the biggest pieces of news from last night, or developments, probably bigger than anything on the show, was the reveal that, and they actually announced it on air, of Randy Orton being out indefinitely. Now, that's the first time they've addressed it, but it's also up on WWE.com now. He is out for 4 to 6 months, and looking like surgery will be likely. At this point, you think 4 to 6 months from now, he's going to miss WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, if it's closer to 4, it depends on how successful the surgery is or how well the rehab goes. If it's closer to 4, they're going to rush him into the WrestleMania for some respect. If it's closer to 6, then you're not going to see the guy till, I don't know, after SummerSlam. He wanted to scale back anyway.
Right.
He wanted to scale back anyway, and, well, now he's kind of forced to it. And it's his shoulders again, right?
Yep. They said that pretty much is not a case of when. It's not a case of if. It's a matter of when his shoulder will just dislocate. It's been pretty banged up for a while. He's been working through it.
Well, the thing about Orton is, it's been this thing his whole career is that he's got these hypermobile shoulders.
Yeah.
Which means I think there's extra mobility there, but they're more prone to injury. And it's been one of the more consistent injuries, he said, through his career, where he said to take significant time off in the past for his shoulders. And unfortunately for Orton now, he's going to miss the Rumble. Let's see, October, November, December, January, he's going to miss the Rumble. WrestleMania is in late, is it in April this year?
Yes, it's like the first or second week of April.
He's got a shot of making Mania. It may not be in a significant match. Maybe it's a multi-guy match, but he might make Mania this year.
Well, I think there's two things. First of all, even though they haven't said it's confirmed surgery yet, they fear they might need to do surgery. If they don't do surgery, then it's very likely he's back probably around February.
But if he has the surgery, it's 6 weeks.
If it's surgery, you're probably at the earliest looking at middle of March. At the earliest. Now, here's the thing. They have a built-in program for when he comes back because he got injured during the whole Wyatt angle.
Yeah, which is what they were planning on kind of doing for him anyway.
Yeah, so you know what? When he comes back, I mean, if you only have 2 weeks to build the match, you can probably still build Orton versus Wyatt.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt told the entire program last year, and all his opponents would show up at WrestleMania.
Right. So
if Bray Wyatt can be just fine.
Right. If not, and he can't come back to after WrestleMania, then I think you probably you're looking at Orton and Wyatt for the summer.
Yeah.
And that's their SummerSlam match or something, you know?
Yeah, which is fine. Which is fine. So.
Your sound's breaking up, Mike.
Did you hear that?
Huh?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I can. You're good now.
Yeah, the sound's breaking up. Well, your sound's breaking up the whole time, so.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It's not your fault. It's not my fault. It's just circumstances of our medium that we were on.
Yeah, I'm working on it. What is that? Okay.
It's the hat.
Yeah. Okay.
It's better to be here, you know.
Yeah.
Apparently I am.
But yeah, it's gonna be rough. Now look, at least they're gonna get going back on topic. They're gonna get John Cena back. It looks like for TLC because at least this pay-per-view they're gonna have Undertaker. They'll have Cena, but you know that we already know what that feud's gonna be. It'll be Cena Del Rio. And that will be Cena's little program all the way through January. Until they figure out what they're going to do for WrestleMania for him. And at this point, we don't know what that's going to be. But I think you're going to get some direct. You're going to get a lot of questions answered at Survivor Series as to what not only is the main event of Survivor Series, but not Survivor Series, of WrestleMania. Pardon me. I'm sorry about that. You're going to get some answers as to what may main event WrestleMania. And what a lot of these guys might be doing, in particular Reigns and Rollins. Because here's the thing. If Rollins makes it out of Survivor Series with the title, he ain't losing it to at least the Rumble. They're not going to have him drop the title at TLC. Unless he gets cashed in.
Which could happen.
That's the only thing that could happen. This match right here at Survivor Series is the last chance for somebody in a one-on-one match, I think, to beat him until at least the Rumble, because they're not going to have him lose the title at TLC to anybody but a cash-in.
But here's the thing. If he does lose the title to Roman Reigns,
right?
Roman Reigns is going to get immediately cashed in on, like it would have been with Kane, like it would have been with Sting, like it would have been with Dean Ambrose.
Right.
It was going to get cashed in on regardless, whoever beats Rollins. And Rollins still could get cashed in on.
Right.
So, who knows?
It's look, Sheamus, when and all these people that think that Sheamus is going to lose when he cashes in, he's not losing. He's not going to lose when he cashes in. The only question is, when does he cash in? Because they got nothing else for the guy right now. He's in a tag team with Barrett because there's nothing else for him to do. They're just treading water with him until he cashes in. And once he cashes in, then that's it. So I'm of the belief, based on what I've heard and read and seen, that Seth Rollins is going to go into the whatever match he's in at the Royal Rumble as the WWE champion. I don't think he's losing at Survivor Series. I don't think he's losing it at TLC. I think if he loses it right now, he is losing it at the Royal Rumble. After that, I don't know. If he holds on to it after the Rumble, I think he's going into WrestleMania with it. Because I feel the same way about that February pay-per-view as I do about TLC. Unless he gets cashed in on at that pay-per-view, he's not losing it. And I do not think they'd want to run a cash-in at that February pay-per-view. So I think that here's what we're looking at. If he's going to lose it in a one-on-one match without a cash-in, it's either going to happen at Survivor Series or at the Rumble. If he's going to lose it on a cash-in, it could happen at Survivor Series. It could happen at TLC. It could happen at the Rumble. But it's not happening. I don't think they do that at that February pay-per-view because I don't think they want to. It's too much of a hot shot kind of thing. So I will say this too, and I was talking to some people off the air about this today. The chances of Rollins going into WrestleMania as champion have gone up probably about 20% in the last 2 weeks. Yeah. Whereas before they might have been like a 10% chance, I think now they're a 30% chance. And with each pay-per-view that he survives as the champion, it gets bigger. And if he ever comes out of Mania with that title, then he's keeping it until he beats Punk's record. I'm sorry, he is. Then you'll know. If he comes out of WrestleMania as champion, having that title for a year, then you know what they're trying to do.
There's no way he keeps that title for a year.
I doubt it.
He's been booked so poorly. He's going to lose the title before he hits the year mark. And he needs to be very thankful he had it this long.
Right.
It's just, who does he lose it to? That is the question. He could lose it to Roman Reigns. There's a chance to lose to Reigns. I don't think it'll be Reigns, but there's a shot. TLC, I don't think he's going to lose it unless it's the multi-guy match. See, it's kind of getting a little more obvious that his program at WrestleMania is going to be Triple H.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to wrestle Triple H at WrestleMania, more than likely. So the problem is, he cannot go into that match as the champion.
Right.
Which means he has to lose the title before he goes into the match, because he cannot wrestle Triple H for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It has to be defended between a full-time guy and generally a full-time guy. It cannot be Triple H. It can't even be The Rock.
Right.
They hinted at a nice little thing with Kevin Owens. That's good. They hinted at Dean Ambrose again. That's also good. But I don't know. But I think the chances of Seth actually going into the main. See, here's the thing: if his program wasn't Triple H, then he is carrying the title into WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But his program is more than likely Triple H. So he's not carrying the title into WrestleMania. That's just the long and the short. So I think it'll be somebody. It could be Sheamus. It could be Brock Lesnar. It could be I don't know. If it's not Rollins, then I don't know who it is. Possibly Sheamus. It could be any major heel. It could be any major face.
Right.
Rollins could lose it in a multi-guy match at TLC. There's a good possibility of that too. So hard to say because they want to keep Rollins strong. They have the next couple months of Rollins kind of trying to do something, and all of a sudden, boom, Rollins is lost. He Triple H screws Rollins, boom. There's your feud. So,
one of our listeners has sent this to us. They've already postponed the Triple H Seth Rollins program a number of times, and it seems like every time they plant some seeds, the next 6 to 7 weeks you don't hear anything about it at all. Don't you think it's perhaps possible that they could postpone it again and get and out of pettiness towards CM Punk push off any potential other title reigns that they have?
No. No, see, here's the thing. I think everybody's overrating this pettiness towards CM Punk. CM Punk isn't on the radar right now. They don't need CM Punk. They have all these other guys that draw just as much.
Yeah.
The problem, see, the thing is, they don't need it. If they were going to do it, they were going to go do it with John Cena. That's who it would have been. It would have been John Cena. So that would have been the ultimate sign of pettiness. No, they're not going to do it to hold off for CM Punk. They would hold it off if they believe that Seth Rollins has to go into WrestleMania as champion to put a guy over. Regardless of who that guy is, that would be the only reason why Rollins would hold on to the title that long, is if his WrestleMania program is suddenly not Triple H and he has to go in there and wrestle somebody for the title. But he doesn't make it past WrestleMania with the title. He will not keep it. He will not keep it longer than Punk. It's not like Punk has a record. He's got a modern day record. But if you notice, when they talk about longest title reigns, they don't talk about CM Punk. They talk about Bruno. They didn't even talk about Pedro Morales. Pedro Morales is the second longest title reign in history, and they don't bring him up at all. Right. Nobody can figure out why either, but that's another topic for another day. But they'll always bring up Bruno. They'll always bring up Bob Backlund. Depending on where they are with Hogan, they bring him up too. Hogan had the title for what, better part of 5 years concurrently. But they don't bring Punk up at all.
No.
There's no need to. Bruno Sammartino, you've got him in the Hall of Fame. You've got him in a good working relationship, so you're going to name drop the crap out of that. You don't need CM Punk. But I digress.
I think I understand why people. Look, the program's already been postponed a number of times. I understand that, and so I can understand why people say, "Well, why is it not possible now?" I can understand that, but I think the bottom line is this: for Seth Rollins, okay, if it's just him in another title match, unless it's a Shield triple threat, nobody's gonna care.
Yeah.
Because we've seen that for the last year. We've seen Rollins go through everybody. We've seen it. So the only way that match is worthy of WrestleMania is if it's a Shield triple threat with Rollins securing the title and either Ambrose or Reigns taking it off of him. Otherwise, nobody's going to care. So if you're going to put Rollins in a meaningful match that's not a Shield triple threat, the only other option is Triple H right now. So it doesn't look like they're going to do that triple threat match. If they're not going to do it, then it has to be Triple H for Seth Rollins.
Despite evidence to the contrary last night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point. Good point. It's going to be interesting because, after you get to Survivor Series, December is always a weird month for WWE because, they don't really put much into TLC. It's Christmas, it's New Year's and everything. They know that people are off doing other things and that. It's like, all right, it's filler month. And then once we get to January 1st, it's like, all right, WrestleMania build time, Rumble, whatever. Then things become always important and you start getting into some things and things get better. But, once you get beyond these next 2 months, it should become obvious. I mean, I think it's going to become a little more obvious even at Survivor Series. But, then you get a month of filler to kind of get things, through December. And then once you get to January, you get a little bit more about what the full message is you're going to be seeing at WrestleMania this year. So we'll see what happens. Right now, as Mike said, there's not a whole lot with Survivor Series that is known at this point. And I think no matter what happens between now and Survivor Series, I think it's still going to be a 2-match show anyway. But
there's a good possibility they could do more with it if they try.
Right.
Where is your problem?
And I don't think they do. They don't want to.
No. They don't want to. So they better start getting a bunch of Survivor Series matches together then.
And you know what the sad thing is? It seems like the last couple years, this is what it's been. It's like, all right, we come up with our WrestleMania plans. We kind of sleepwalk through the fall, and that's what it is. And then the whole summer, all WrestleMania, the time period from after WrestleMania through July is all about, oh, okay, we have our plans for SummerSlam. We're going to sleepwalk. So basically, the only time that anything of note happens in WWE anymore is the 3 months before WrestleMania and the 1 month before SummerSlam.
Likely, yeah.
It's ridiculous because it's like they make their decisions now and they're like, all right, we don't want to deviate from them, so you just get all this boring garbage, essentially, dribble. Well, it is what it is. All right. So obviously we'll see how things develop next week. I think Raw is in the. I think it's the European tour next week, right?
Yes.
So next week you'll be having a taped show, so you'll know what's going to happen beforehand and all that good stuff. So we'll see. I don't anticipate much development. I think they're saving the whole Wyatt, Undertaker, Kane thing for like the Monday before the pay-per-view. So we probably won't find out much about that next week. And next week I think it's going to be a very lazy kind of show, even lazier than usual, I think. Even though they're in the UK, I think it's going to be a very lazy kind of show. But we'll see what happens. All right, so that's the wrestling stuff. Let's do the NBA stuff next because that's going to be a little quick and we can pick up some time there. All right, so we just finished the first week of the NBA season. So, and again, you're not getting too hot, into records and all this other stuff because, it's early. Even though you've heard some rumors about like teams that are struggling already trying to make trades, like the Grizzlies and Mario Chalmers to each other. There's a lot of things already. Then there's this story out there of Kobe Bryant, who's apparently really upset right now, taking a mental health day.
Kobe Bryant. is really upset with the state of his team, you don't say. Welcome to the last 3 years of Los Angeles Lakers fans. Ugh. Disgusting.
LeBron has become the youngest player to ever score 25,000 points.
You don't say. Wow.
Yeah. And of course, already Stephen Curry has become the favorite after 1 week to win the MVP, which I think is, first of all, we already kind of knew this, that he was the favorite to win the MVP again, and secondly, just like we shouldn't get wrapped up in records after the first week, we shouldn't get wrapped up in MVP talk, because last year after the first week, everybody was saying LeBron. Actually, they were saying that before the season even started, or Kevin Durant. So don't go thinking anything yet. It's the first week of the season. Just like I think it's funny that some teams are making trades, like the Grizzlies and the Heat, and like, come on, it's early. Look, if you look at the top of the East right now, Detroit's #1 at 3-0. Now, do you think that's going to be the case in 6 months? Probably not.
Yes.
Probably not. But maybe they're going to be a surprise team. We don't know. We won't know until, the season develops. The West has been fairly up to par. The Clippers, the Warriors, the Thunder, the Spurs have all had good weeks. That's pretty normal. The Lakers are 0-3, and that's where Kobe hasn't played well. And now the thing to remember too is that Kobe has not been healthy for 2 years?
Give or take.
So you can't really get wrapped up in what's going on with Kobe Bryant right now. Because here's the thing. I don't care how good Kobe has been in his career. He's never had to come back from being off for this long, having to deal with all these kind of injuries. It's going to take a little bit of time to get right, and he's not going to be what he once was. I don't care how superhuman he is. He's not going to be what he once was.
Actually, the top team in the East is the Toronto Raptors.
Huh?
The top team in the East is the Toronto Raptors.
Well, I think isn't there a tie? Isn't it like 3 teams at like 3-0 or something?
No.
No? Oh, okay.
The top team in the East is the Toronto Raptors. The top teams in the West are the Clippers and the Warriors.
Okay. All right. Okay. I stand corrected.
You should be.
Detroit's up there though.
Yes, they are.
Okay. Still though, that's not going to stick. Maybe for Toronto it could, because Toronto was good last year. They were a 3 last year. But
Toronto was good, and I think they have generally the same roster.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They generally have the same roster.
The only teams that I've seen so far this year, I've seen Golden State. I've seen the Clippers. I've seen the Spurs. I've seen the Thunder. I've seen the Grizzlies. I've seen the Lakers. I wish I hadn't, because that was bad. That was probably the Lakers probably the worst team I watched this week. The Knicks I've seen the Cavs. I actually have seen the Pistons. They didn't look too bad. I think that's all I've seen. I've seen the Bulls. The Bulls I've seen. That's all I've pretty much seen so far. And my early impressions is that it's the same as last week when we had the preview. And again, it's after 1 week, so you can't get wrapped up in it. But my impressions are the same so far. The Cavs are the best team in the East, and the West is going to be a crapshoot between maybe 4 teams: the Clippers, the Warriors, the Spurs, and if the Thunder stay healthy, that's the fourth team. That's the 4th team.
By the way, Kobe Bryant was officially sent home.
Okay.
He was not giving him. He was essentially given a mental day, but he was sent home by the team. Because a string of bad performances for a guy like that can be psychologically damaging. So,
and very frustrating. And yeah, I also think too for Kobe, who already knew that this year was going to be a rough year for the team, and all the talk going into the season was Kobe has basically said that this is not going to be his last season in the NBA. So to that end, that means that he is going to there's two things that he wants to do this year, knowing full well that the Lakers probably aren't going anywhere this year. Number one, he has to prove he's healthy. And number two, he has to prove that if he is healthy, that he can still play at a valuable level. So that if a team wants to go out and get him, trade or free agency, that they're going to be interested in doing that. That's the two things he's going to play for this season. So far, he's proven he's healthy. Like if you watch him, you'll see he's healthy. It's not a health issue so far. It's an issue of, you know what? It's not easy for me anymore. The game is not easy for me anymore. It kind of reminds me of what happened with Derek Jeter. He went down with that injury. He missed a full year. He tried to come back a couple of times during the year. It didn't work out. Then he comes back the next year. And was he still a valuable player? Yeah, he was. He could still field. He could still field. He could still hit like 270, but he wasn't like a 300 hitter anymore. And I think that's Kobe Bryant. He can still start. He can still go out there and play a lot of minutes. He can still go out there and score 20 a game. He ain't going to score 50 a game.
Well, maybe against the right team.
Yeah, I mean, okay, but you know what I'm saying, though. Like, the chance of him doing what a lot of the premier scorers do, like LeBron and Durant and all these guys every night, is not there anymore. Even if healthy, it's not there anymore. That explosive first step that he had is no longer there, which is what gave him a lot of the open lanes he did have to the basket. His athleticism has taken a hit. I mean, he's not what he is. Remember, he's aged. The fact that he was able to stay at the level he was at for so long, and that already defied logic. The fact he stayed at that level for so long was miraculous, in my opinion. Especially given the fact that he was, in a lot of ways, like Dwayne Wade. He gave up his body. He never shied away from physical contact. He went to the basket. He really, and he was very lucky into the last maybe 6-7 years that he really didn't have too many problems. And that's the thing, and that's something that you're going to see with a lot of these guys that go to the NBA early. Pretty much from 2003 on, all these guys, it's going to be interesting to see later in their career what happens. Because the earlier you start your career, a lot of these guys, and look, Kobe started his career early. A lot of these guys say the earlier that means that your career starts to shut down. And you've already heard over the last 2 years, LeBron's had a lot of problems with his back. He had to sit for a time last year. So that's what I'm saying. You know, okay, it's great that these guys go to the NBA, make your money while you're 10, etc. But by the in the old days when they went after 4 years of college, most of these guys would play till they were 40. And it wasn't until they were 39 or 40 that you really saw the age really hit them. No, unless they were a center. A center is a different position. But outside of that, yeah. Now, look at you see a lot of these guys start to slow down at 33, 34. Because they've already been playing since they were 18, 19 years old in the league. It's not the same thing as college. If they had been 4 years in college, it's less taxing. You don't play as many games. You'll play 2 games a week at most. In the NBA, you're playing every night. for 6 months or more, actually. Not the same at all. And that's something that I think going forward, everyone's gonna pay a lot of attention to, is how these guys hold up. These guys that come into the league so young, out of college, or even not even going to college. How do they come into the league? I mean, how do they go about? How do they go through the league every year? Every year, do more injuries crop up? That kind of thing. Kobe Bryant, I said last week when we talked about the whole season, Kobe Bryant to me is the storyline of this NBA season. And it's already become a big point of discussion. It's going to be an even bigger point of discussion for the rest of the year, especially around the trade deadline. It's the big story. Obviously, the Cavs and their journey is big. Obviously, the West and what's going to happen there, the Spurs, that's all big. We all know that. We all know about those storylines. But the Kobe Bryant one's the one that's going to be turning every single week. And it already is. And if I had to guess, because one of our listeners asked this to me last week after we did the NBA preview. They said to me, what do you think is going to happen with Kobe Bryant? What do you think? Do you think he gets traded? What do you think? I said, I don't think he gets traded midseason. I think he sticks out the entire year. I think it's going to be too hard a deal to get done in season. Unless there's something can't miss that the Lakers have to make. And I don't know if anybody's going to do that. But in the offseason, I think he's going to be, I mean, obviously he could be a free agent, but I could see a sign and trade. I could see him just signing with another team. I mean, I could see either way, he's going to go to another team. My guess is this, that he's going to go to a team where number one, he respects the coach. He likes the coach. It's not going to be a young coach. It's going to be a guy like a Doc Rivers or a Greg Popovich kind of guy. He is not going to go to a team with somebody that's a crapshoot at coach that he doesn't know what he's going to get and it doesn't have a legacy of winning. The reason why he can go to another team is to win another championship. That's it. He's not going to go to another team to extend his career. He's going to go to another team to win a championship. He wants to go out with a championship. That's the idea. He wants to win as many championships as he can because it's his legacy. That's all he's thinking about right now. And I think he's going to understand that if he goes out and does that he cannot. He knows he won't be the guy. I think he already has his mind wrapped around that to an extent. Not all the way, but to an extent. But he's going to be very particular about where he goes. And I do not think he's going to the East. I do not think that. I think it's going to be a West team. A lot of people. I've also been asked too. I think that well, okay, would he go to the Clippers? I think he would. I think he definitely would. He has a great relationship with Chris Paul. I think he definitely would. He loves Doc. He loves Doc Rivers. I know that. So he'd definitely go. He might go to Golden State. I mean, there's a lot of teams there that he could go to. The only team I don't think he'd go to is Houston because as long as Dwight Howard's there, he won't want no part of that. But we'll see. But that, to me, forget about the standings. Forget about, any trades or anything like that because, again, it's only one weekend. Kobe Bryant is still the story. He will be the story. And we'll see what happens. It should be interesting. Mike, you have anything else to add?
On the NBA?
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. It got convoluted because he wanted Byron Scott. He got Byron Scott. The Lakers suck. Byron Scott is throwing the Lakers under the bus. Kobe Bryant is throwing himself under the bus. I know I'm out of frame. I don't have the energy to get back in frame. I don't care right now. The Lakers are in a rut. They only have one injury. And you know what's sad? They shouldn't be in a rut. They honestly should not be in a rut. Because their roster is, while Kobe Bryant is not the Kobe Bryant of 10 years ago, he's still a force. You have Roy Hibbert starting for you at center. Roy Hibbert was one of the more dependable centers in the last, like, I don't know, 5 years. Brendan Bass, one of the more reliable forwards in the last, like, 5 years. Nick Young, he exists. He's a body on the floor. And I will say this, by far my favorite NBA meme was Nick Young taking that three and turning around with his hands up like he's like a god, and then just totally airballing it. That is Nick Young's career in a GIF or GIF. Because choosy players choose GIF. Now I'm looking at that Nick Young GIF because that is just fantastic. But that's Nick Young's career in airball. But hey, he could score buckets occasionally. But Nick Young Nick Young airball. It should be pretty packed. So. But the point is this: the Lakers have at least 4, 5, or 6 guys who are highly competent at their position. Does that mean they are going to win? No. Does that mean they're a playoff team? No. Does that mean they should be the worst team in the West? No. They shouldn't be the worst team in the West with the team they have. However, here we are. So, they are just a psychological mess. Excuse me. I sent you a text about this earlier. I sent you 2 texts about this earlier. You were warned.
Yeah.
So,
hey, we're on good pace. We're on good pace.
Yes. So this is the last thing I want to say. The Lakers are the story because of how bad they suck. They're not going to be the story mid-season. Kobe Bryant he's gone. He's not going to remain a Laker forever, and that's sad, but it is what it is. But maybe he'll finish his career out there at some point. But it is what it is.
Right.
He doesn't have the time to rebuilding period. He has to go. He knows he has to go, and that's it.
We've over the last couple of years, a lot of I'm guessing there are a lot of Laker fans, but a lot of people have asked us, in emails and such, like, well, why do you think the Lakers haven't gotten any? I mean, okay, they went and got Dwight Howard. They tried one time to get Chris Paul, but why do you think they haven't brought more talent there? Why haven't they been able to go get the big players? And we know that they've tried. They've had how many free agents there? We know that they've tried, but there's been a lot of problems. People say Kobe, still try, Kobe's contract. Kobe still wanted to be the guy, all that. And that's kind of been the story. And my take on it has always been, look, they've tried to get people there, but here's the problem. One guy is not going to do the job for the Lakers. Let's say they were successful in getting Kevin Love. That's not going to do it for the Lakers. They would need at least 2 guys with Kobe Bryant and a bunch of good players around them to make that. Look at how tough the West is. Look what Cleveland did. I mean, look at in the East. There's nothing. Okay, you could probably get away with that for Cleveland, but in the West, you can't. You can't. These free agents are dumb. They don't want it to be all on them. If they go in there for a meeting, okay, fine. You made everything seem great to me, but at the same time, who else are you going to go get? We can't. And you know what the Lakers' answer was? Well, we can't. We can go get some better role players than that, but we can't go get anybody else. Why? Well, we got Kobe's contract, and that means he's still being treated like a star, superstar. That means with you two, that's all we can really do. But you're the Lakers. Yeah, but we have our financial limits. It's the NBA. We have caps, salary caps, everything, Okay. All right. Well, I like what I heard. I'll let you know. And then basically they go to another team where they know that there's a chance that there's somebody else that can come in there with them that's in their prime where they can have a better potential roster. Look, I like Kobe Bryant. He has every right to stay there in that. But here's the thing. His contract makes it so that the only thing the Lakers can do, unless they somehow are able to finagle a trade for a guy and the other team can pick up a part of the salary, with Kobe's contract as it is right now, they can't go out and get more than one big free agent. They can't. Their whole plan over the last couple of years was go get a big free agent, hope Kobe's healthy, and let's try to get some better players around him and see what happens. That's been their whole thing for the last 3 years. Kobe hasn't been healthy, so it's been even worse. The bottom line is, guys around this league in this era of superstars joining up together on other teams, in this era of that, you are not going to convince a guy to come to come to a team like the Lakers right now, unless they feel like you can go get somebody else to come with them. Because that's what they want to hear. Yeah, they want to hear about the money. They want to hear about all the benefits, how you're going to treat them, all that stuff. They want to hear that. Yes, that's the starting pick. But then at the end of it, it's like what's going to end up deciding for them where they go. Because here's the thing: it's not always an issue of winning. Because we know some of these guys don't care if they win or not. Okay, it's an issue of marketability. If they're on a team with other superstars, that team's going to get watched more. That team's worth more. There's more marketing opportunities. And of course, yes, there is a better chance to win, which is more marketing opportunities, better money involved and profits and all that stuff. They're not dumb. I still think, I can't remember his name. What's his name? DeAndre Jordan. I think that was a big reason why he regretted committing to the Mavericks. I think that was a huge reason. Now, before somebody says, "Oh, wait a minute, Mark Cuban has all this money," yes, he does. But I think DeAndre, in addition to knowing that his heart was with the Clippers, from a business standpoint, he thought about it and he realized, you know what? They have all this money, yes, but they've already committed. They got Dirk Nowitzki. They've already committed some other players. It doesn't look like they're going to go out there and go get anybody else. Then it doesn't look like they're going to go out there and get anybody else that is on my kind of free agent level, meaning an A+ free agent, A+ free agent. It doesn't look like they're going to go get anybody like that. And that means that's all going to be on me because Dirk isn't coming to the end of his career. It's going to be all on me. I don't want that. So what does he do? He goes back to the Clippers where it's not all on him. He has Chris Paul. He has Blake Griffin. He has a great bench. He has one of the best six men in the league in Jamal Crawford. And then what do? They go out and get Paul Pierce. That's what Doc mentioned in that meeting. We're going to go get Paul. And he's like, oh, wait, there's another guy that's less dependency on me. I love this. That, I think, was a huge reason why he turned his back on Dallas. Now, he handled it all wrong. We all know that. Let's not go back into that. But that's what goes through players' minds. It's like, hey, wait a minute. Who else are you going to go get? That's the era we're in this league. And that's the difference between now and maybe 15 years ago when it didn't matter to these guys. It was enough to just be an A guy and have the whole team built around you, role players. That's the difference. So the Lakers have tried, but they're strapped. And when Kobe walks away, either when Kobe gets traded or he walks away and goes to another team this year, then they can go say, you know what, we can go get 2 of these guys. We can go get 2 plus 8 plus free agents. And maybe, just maybe, if Kobe sees them, maybe he says, you know what, let me come back for another run with a smaller contract with these 2 other guys. Maybe that keeps him. I don't know. There's a lot of things uncertain. I don't know. I don't anticipate that happening. I think this is the last year he'll be with the Lakers, but hey. So we'll see. Obviously, like I said, the Kobe Bryant thing will go on all season, even in the offseason, potentially. So far, the rest of the league hasn't been that surprising. Again, there's a couple teams like Detroit up at the top that you would expect it, but that's early. Everything's pretty much gone as you'd expect it to. So there were some good games in the first week, which is good. You know, that's good for the league. The West is going to be amazing this year. So, I mean, good first week all in all. And again, the highlight and the story that you're going to see all season, and to me, is Kobe Bryant. So, all right. So from the NBA, we go to the MLB. And, you know, somebody actually said this to me off the air. They said it was a blink and you'll miss it World Series. And, it was probably the best short World Series I've seen in a long time. You know, you had the 14-inning game in Game 1, the 12-inning finale in Game 5. Great comebacks from the Royals, who came back 8 times in this postseason. I've already compared them to Joe Torre's Yankees. I still think that point stands. There's a belief in them. There's a fire in them. There's a compatibility. There's a talent in them that I haven't seen easily in 15 years. You know, it's very hard to get to the World Series. We saw Texas do it back-to-back years, and then they never made it back. And I was saying this to people off the air all week. If the Royals do not win it this year, they're not going back with this team because they'd be broken. This is a team that's got a lot of fight, a lot of resiliency, and if it still wasn't enough after they made it all the way back here for the 2nd straight year, it would break them. That's what happened with the Rangers. It broke them. In addition to the fact they lost guys in free agency, et cetera, it broke them. And that's the bottom line. The Royals would not be denied. They remember that pain. You've heard people talk about this all the time. The Red Sox, that pain from 2003 when the Yankees beat them in 7 games, that was enough ammunition to create a fire in them to get them to the World Series and to a World Series win in 2004. The Royals, the disappointment of last year, the being 90 feet away from tying that game didn't happen. It got them through this year. They were even better this year. They won the division. They were the 1 seed. They went right to the World Series, and they won it. Granted, they got some help from the Mets. There were some critical errors. The Mets defense lost them. The Mets defense, in my mind, you know, if you're a believer that the Mets, with their starting pitching and that were the best team, that's the thing that lost in the series. Defense was horrible. Their offense kind of went south a little bit. Daniel Murphy cooled it off, which was going to happen. Cespedes hurt him a little bit. I will say this much. The performance of Matt Harvey in Game 5 was one of the best postseason performances, other than Madison Bumgarner last year, that I've seen in recent years. It was amazing. And don't second-guess Terry Collins. He made the right move, bringing him back out. I would have done the same thing. He deserved to bring him back out. Look, and look, that play that tied the game, that Hosmer, that play was ballsy. It was risky. I don't know if any other team would have gotten away with doing that or letting a guy do that. And I wouldn't have done that. And I'm somebody that's always preaching aggression on the base pass. That to me was very reckless, but it got the job done. They tied it. And once they tied it, you knew that game was over. And I think the Mets knew that game was over. Even though they kept playing and went for another few innings, You knew that you could just feel it, that the Mets knew with that bullpen this game was over. The Royals were eventually going to find a way, and they did. A 5-run 12th inning, they win it. Again, great contact batters. They're, I know eight of them made the All-Star game this year, but they're not really a team of All-Stars. They're just good, solid players. They're just good, solid players. You think about the guys that have been there over the years when they were losing. Alex Gordon, Luke Hochevar. They were there when the team was bad. All these guys, most of these guys came up through AAA together. And that's the thing. They keep talking. You heard them talk about chemistry over the last 2 years. Chemistry. They brought guys into the club. They added guys to this team that would fit the chemistry, would fit the mold, would fit the personality. Great character guys. We've talked about this numerous times. Sometimes it's not about the talent. It's about how they gel as a team. That creates momentum. It creates a feeling of confidence in all of these guys. They pick each other up. They're fun to watch. They're a pleasure to watch. As a fan of baseball, not only just a fan of baseball, a fan of sports, they are a pleasure to watch. There was a point in April of this early part of the season where they annoyed the crap out of a lot of people, including me. And I think that was just them. Maybe there was some of their frustration from losing last year. I don't know. But they became that same team from last year that you wanted to root for. Somewhere in the middle of the season, they got that mojo back. And they deserve this. And I'm happy for them. Your second World Series title, first in 30 years. Congrats to George Brett, the Kansas City organization. It was a great, great run. Could they repeat? I suppose they can. But, it's very hard. Other teams are catching up. Last year, you saw a lot of teams try to stock their bullpen, most notably the Yankees. I think more teams are going to continue to do that, including the Yankees, because they see, look at Kansas City starting pitching is not that good. It's not that good. And they still won. Because all they need is their starting pitchers to keep it close, go 5-6 innings, put your bullpen in, and away you go. Every arm that comes out of that Kansas City bullpen is capable of shutting you down. Every arm. And if you have a bullpen like that and you keep the game close, you're probably going to win 90% of the time. And that's what the Royals did. They would not be denied. They would not be denied in this World Series. And for the Mets, you feel bad for Terry Collins. It was a great run. They had a great season. And look, the Mets, I think the Mets have a better chance of getting back in the Royals because they got the starting pitching. They got some good hitters in that. They got some great young players. The bullpen situation's improving for them with Familia. They learned and they got the experience now. They picked up a lot this season. Now, look, they're probably going to lose Cespedes, but if they can go out there and get another big bat to fill his spot, maybe get a secondary bat, they're going to be fine. Even if they lose Daniel Murphy, they're going to be fine. In that division, they will be fine. With that starting pitching, who knows what happens with Harvey? That's probably the biggest thing. But then again, they also got Zach Wheeler that could easily plug into the rotation too. So, they got a abundance of riches in starting pitching, and that's what's going to get them back here if they so choose if things play their way. But it was a fun, competitive. All the games were competitive, and again, even though it was a short series, and I thought Kansas City would win. I thought they'd win it in 6. I was only one game off. But for such a short series, 5 games with the Mets only winning 1 game, it still was it was a fun series, competitive. The comebacks by Kansas City, which they've done the whole postseason, but especially in this World Series, the Mets and their pitching, the electricity. You had 2 electric ballparks, Kansas City, which is great environment, Citi Field, which for the first time, this whole playoff run for the Mets, I got to give them fans credit. That's the way that Yankee fans used to be. I don't know what's happened there, but the Mets fans were electric. Both venues were fun to watch baseball on television in. Great environment, great electricity, the whole series, great games. It was the best short World Series I've seen in recent memory. And it was nice to see Kansas City celebrate. As far as the broadcast goes, look, I like Frank. I mean, no disrespect. I like Frank. I like Pete Rose. I thought he was entertaining. He was funny. He was just obviously. Pete Rose knows baseball. We all know that. But I think he was just there purely for personality, which he did a good job with. I like Kevin Millar. He's great. Works for MLB Network, too. He's always great. He was awesome. Raul Baez, I didn't think was too bad. I liked A-Rod. I really wish that A-Rod didn't come off so scripted. I don't know if he was scripted. It sounded like he was, but regardless, I wish he didn't come off that way because I know some people were annoyed that they seemed to be pushing. He was the only analyst they're letting kind of interact in the game with Joe Buck and everybody and kind of bring his thoughts in all the time. I didn't mind that. I thought it was he definitely shows potential to be a great broadcaster. He definitely showed potential. I really wish that it was more natural in his delivery because so much of what he said came off like it was written for him, felt very unnatural. I wish they hadn't done that, but Frank Thomas, I love the guy. He wasn't that good. He came off just as bad as A-Rod. Very over the top sometimes, very scripted. Both these guys I feel like would have been better if they weren't either trying so hard or weren't feeling so scripted. Otherwise, to me, I like Tim McCarver, but we all know that Fox needed to make a change there. He went on his way. Joe Buck, Harold Reynolds, Tom Verducci did a great job. So from that standpoint, they were good. The MLB season, it's over. It wasn't a bad playoffs for the league. I mean, they didn't have any epic series. You didn't have your 7-game. I mean, you had a couple games. The first round, you had a couple series go 5, which was great. Good competitive. Some good competitive series, some good competitive games there. The second round was a little more straightforward. Having the Cubs in that second round was huge. I think for the league, it helped. The Mets going as far as it did helped. A big market team. The Royals were a great story from last year. They were a great story this year. So I think the playoffs had a lot going for them, even though a lot outside of the first round, we had a couple of series go 5. You didn't have a lot of close series. You didn't have any, competitive series outside of those. I don't think that really hurt it. And I think what really helped these playoffs this year was you had great environments. And maybe that's what helped these players and led to so much more. So, maybe it helped fuel some of these comebacks. Sometimes that does happen. Momentum, the crowds can be developed. It can be one and the same. It can be thriving off each other. But, you had the great environment in Toronto, the great environment in Houston, Kansas City, Mets, Citi Field. So many great environments. The Cubs, I think that helped. It made things feel better. Made things feel more vibrant. Great venues. And as we talked about at the beginning of these playoffs, the offense is coming back into baseball. Hitters are adjusting. And that's a good thing. That's a good thing. And maybe players are getting better too. Maybe more players are beating the shifts. And that's good because once they start doing that kind of thing and once offense starts coming back, you're going to see the sabermetric thing go by the wayside, which will be great for the game. It'll kill the whole run prevention thing. That'd be great for the game. So not a bad playoffs. The season itself had its moments. Beginning of the season, okay, middle of the season had some great moments. Then the end kind of petered out. There was a couple things, pennant races that kind of stayed a little bit to the end. There was enough on the line at the end, I think, to keep people at least somewhat interested. And I mean, it wasn't a great. Again, offense has started to make its comeback. That's a plus coming out of the season. So a lot of great young players, not just pitchers, but hitters as well, which is great. Some teams made some big market teams made huge comebacks. The Mets, the Yankees, the Cubs. That's great for the league. So there was a lot to like about this league this year. A lot more than last year. Some teams took some big hits. Detroit being one of them. Tampa, Boston, but they'll all be back. And that's something you look for next season. And in this offseason, these teams that had surprisingly bad years, how do they make their comeback? What kind of moves do they make? Detroit, Oakland, Oakland actually hurt themselves, so I won't even go into that. Maybe the Angels to an extent, the Nationals, the Rays, the Red Sox. We'll see what they do. The Orioles have a lot of questions with their free agents, in-house free agents, and all that. The Yankees, what do they do? Coming off of a disappointment at the end. Houston, how do they up themselves to the next level? The Cubs, same thing. There's talk that the Cubs were going on David Price. David Price has an interest. That's kind of the place that people think he wants to go. They get David Price. They pair him with Arrieta and Lester. That's a formidable three-prong attack there. So the Cardinals, what do they do to try to combat how their division turned out this year with the Pirates? What are the Pirates? There's a lot of, because of all the parity now, a lot more teams in flux trying to make moves to try to keep up with the other. That NL Central was so good this year, you know these teams are going to try to usurp the other team in their division, the other teams in their division. So we'll see what the Rangers do. You know, they already really made their significant move in trading for Cliff Lee at the midseason mark, thinking that was for next year, but they made a run and got in this year. Toronto, more than likely they're going to lose Price. What do? Their GM has already quit, which is a huge story. That nobody, I mean, I think a lot of people figured if Toronto disappointed, then he'd be fired. They didn't really disappoint, but he still left. And there's people think it's a management issue. Who knows? But a lot of people are worried about Toronto, and I would be too. I could see Toronto going the way of Oakland last year, and the whole thing is kind of imploding. You know, Don Manning, already hired by the Marlins, which I think that was a rush job decision by him. I wouldn't have done that. But we'll see how that turns out. Dusty Baker today gets hired by the Nationals, which is a surprise. I think most people thought Bud Black was getting that. But Dusty's a great manager, so we'll see how that goes. This offseason is going to be interesting. We'll see how active the trade market was. There wasn't a very active trade market at the deadline, but in the weeks prior there was. So, you know, you figure it'd probably be active more active in the offseason. There wasn't a lot of last-minute deals, so maybe some teams have a little more flexibility. There's not a huge amount of free agents this year. There's some decent starting pitching, a couple of good outfielders. You know, Justin Upton, Yoenis Cespedes, Johnny Cueto, Zach Greinke, among those big free agents. You know, we'll see how things play out with Matt Harvey and Scott Boras and the Mets, and how that snafu at the end of the season plays out. That happened at the end of the season plays out. Matt Harvey did a lot to kind of rehab his image with the New York fans during these playoffs, so that you know will benefit him. You know, we'll see. I tend to think it's going to be a very active trade market, given how many teams were in it this year. You know, you look at divisions like the NL Central, a lot of these teams are going to look to – I think those teams are going to look to trades more than free agency because they don't usually do very much in free agency, maybe one or two moves here and there. So I think it's going to be a very active trade market. I predict the big market teams, especially the ones that made big comebacks this year, like the Yankees, the Mets, the Cubs, will be in on the free agents, which will make things interesting. You'll probably have a couple of sweepstakes there, you know, big bidding processes there. The next month or so, I think, will be very active with trades and free agency. Unlike last year where some things seemed to linger longer than usual, I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going back to the way it was a few years ago where by Christmas, pretty much all the major free agents will be off the board and a lot of the major moves will be done. Last year, there was a lot of lingering, and I think that, you know, that showed in some of the rosters at the beginning of the season. And maybe that's why you had a lot of the big trades happen well before the deadline this year as opposed to close to the deadline. It should be an interesting offseason. I think it'll be an active offseason. We'll see what changes Rob Manfred makes. There'll be maybe a couple different rotating, maybe some expansion of instant replay. Maybe a couple rule changes, other rule changes, which it might involve the base paths and stuff like that. So we'll see how that develops. We'll see. I mean, I think there's a lot of positive and a lot of reason to think that baseball is in the right direction right now. I think offense making a comeback. Again, I think eventually they'll kill the whole sabermetrics kind of run prevention kind of movement, which will be good for the game. And, you know, I think there's a lot, you know, there's a very bright potential future here. Whereas a couple years ago, it looked like it was going to be kind of rough for a while. I think we might be coming out of that period, which is good. I think you're going to have a more interesting game again, more offense, more excitement. Some of the big market teams back in the fold should help, along with these smaller market teams that are doing some great things. It makes for a lot. I mean, the parity is still there, but the big markets being involved makes it even more interesting. So I think you're going into an off season and next season and beyond. That's going to be very exciting and interesting to see. So, Mike, do you have anything to add before we wrap up?
No.
Okay. I didn't think so. Baseball was not his sport. So, all right.
Kansas City Royals.
Ah, see, a question tree. Don't we all love that? All right. Baseball is not his sport. That's why we did things the way we did tonight. It was better for everybody. All right. So obviously, even though the MLB season's over, we will continue to monitor the off-season happenings, and then of course as we get closer to the start of baseball season in April, we'll do an MLB preview, all that good stuff. So our MLB coverage doesn't necessarily stop. It just means that there's nothing on the field going on. So all the focus shifts to off the field and discussing the off-season moves and all that stuff. So we'll keep you up to date as we go along here, the off-season, all that. But now pretty much our Tuesdays are wrestling and NBA and any other sports stories we have to cover, and of course college basketball, which is starting to get underway. So we'll be doing that as we go along here, and we'll be having a college basketball preview in I think 2 weeks. So I'll talk more about that on Thursday, but we'll be doing that coming up. So y'all, as always, look forward to that. We always have a lot of fun with the college basketball or any kind of NCAA shows. So, all right. So with all that being said, we are done for tonight. As we wind down, we always like to remind you that just because the show might be over, does not mean you have to stop interacting or contributing to our show, interacting with us. You can continue sending feedback, questions about the show and the scheduling of the show, any questions in general, comments in general, reactions, anything we said on the show, anything we do on the show, topic ideas, breaking news items, any of these things you can submit to us via email, Facebook, and Twitter. You can email us at itspotlight411@gmail.com. You can also follow us and tweet us at itspotlight411. And again, please remember to use the hashtags, hashtag itspotlight411 or hashtag ITS5. The second hashtag, of course, is our 5th anniversary hashtag to celebrate our 5 years on the air as a podcast. You can also, of course, find us on Facebook. Search for us in the Spotlight 411 on Facebook. Once you find our fan page, like our page. So Facebook, Twitter, email, those are the ways in which you can get in touch with us anytime you wish and contribute, give us your opinions, any of that good stuff. A little update here. Podbean, our audio storage site, is still I'm about 4 episodes away from being completed with that. So 4 episodes still have to be uploaded. Once they're uploaded, which can easily be by Thursday, we will start posting all of our episodes on Podbean, and then of course by virtue of Podbean, iTunes, so that you can listen to us on there as well. For those that do not want to really check us out on YouTube, you just want to hear our audio, listen to us on the go, maybe in your car or something, you can do that on Podbean and on iTunes. That will be all pretty much set and done and activated on Thursday. So just be aware of that. Right now, the only way you can catch up on any of our shows since we moved to Google Hangouts and YouTube is on YouTube. So just go to YouTube and search for In the Spotlight 411, and then once you find our channel, you can check out any of the shows from the past couple of weeks since we started here on Google Hangouts and YouTube. So be aware of that. If you're interested, you can check us out on there. And also, of course, on our Google Hangouts page, which you can search for In the Spotlight 411. You can check us out on there as well, but it's easier to on YouTube. And if you want, for some of our newer fans, you want to check out some episodes from before we moved here to Google Hangouts and YouTube, feel free to check us out either on TalkShoe.com, Libsyn.com, iTunes, or on our blogtalkradio.com. Blogtalkradio.com is where our original 31 episodes are, the first 31 episodes we ever did. They're on there. And then everything else from our 5-year run is on TalkShoe, Libsyn, and iTunes. So on all 4 of those sites, what you want to do is search for In the Spotlight with Brian Gardner. That's our old show name. Search for us under that. And once you find our show pages on all those respective sites, you'll have access to all episodes from the last 5 years. So feel free to check those out if you're interested to find out more about us and what we do and what we've been doing and all that good stuff. All right. So with that being said, we are done. I want to thank Mike for being here tonight. Thank you, Mike.
It's time for bed.
Yes. I want to thank myself for another great show. Thank myself and thank all of you for your continued support and your contributions to the show. Thank you so much for watching. We really do appreciate it. Hope you've had a great start to your week and a great election day. Again, our next show will be broadcasting live here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube this coming Thursday night, which is November the 5th at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. That is our entertainment show. We'll be talking box office, previewing this weekend, of course, also previewing the holiday movie season. We'll also do a little TV discussion as well. We'll talk more about what we're going to be doing this month here on the program. And as for those that are wondering about the Indie Spotlight Football Blitz, again, as of right now, unless something changes, it will be broadcasting here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube on Friday, which is November the 6th at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. So that's the plan as of right now. If anything changes, we'll let you know via Facebook and Twitter. So you want to pay attention to our Facebook and Twitter pages for information on that if something should change. Otherwise, again, that will take place on Friday at 2 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube. So I hope you all have a great rest of your night, a great Wednesday, and a great Thursday. We'll see you back here broadcasting live here on Google Hangouts and on YouTube for our next show at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time this Thursday, November the 5th. Until then, have a good night, everybody.